Hey guys, just setting up. Okay. All right, let's get started. So, I finished off the Clippers and Lakers the other day, ran a simulation, and it was one of the better games that I've seen on the PS4 probably. Definitely some issues with the gameplay, for sure, but that's like more on 2K's end with how they coded the game this year, rather than like there's nothing you can really do within like the rosters to fix the issues that 2K has with their game right now. But just really quickly, you know, I'll review the Clippers, and then we'll check out the Lakers. I did the ratings, badges, and tendencies for both these teams, so they are effectively done. And starting off with the point guards. Bam. I've got Terrence Mann as a point guard small forward, kind of in like the same vein as an Evan Turner. And Reggie Jackson's a free agent, so Mann is basically like the third string point guard for the long term on this team. And you got the two guards. Paul George, I believe, is the third best two guard in the game. Landry Shamet, good 3-point shooter, but not good from anywhere else really. But also a pretty solid defender too, much better than what 2K gave him credit for. Kawhi Leonard, obviously, the Claw was great this year, and even though he got a little bit of a bad rep for basically his Game Seven performance, but he was great for the rest of the playoffs beyond that. So he still maintains a pretty high rating. He wasn't the issue. Like, yeah, it sucks. He had a bad Game Seven. It's not the first star in the world to have a bad Game Seven, but like Paul George, like was a ghost the entire series. So the Clippers' issues, you know, not being able to advance past the Nuggets, don't really fall on Kawhi's shoulders. Magruder, back up, like really didn't play too much, except when like Kawhi sat out. Marcus Morris, he's kind of an awkward. He's the one thing that I could actually probably adjust a little bit to make the gameplay play a little more realistically. Because right now I have his tendencies and ratings and everything as like a hedge between what he did with the Knicks and what he did with the Clippers. With the Knicks, he was a go-to scorer, and with the Clippers, he was basically a stretch four only. He didn't really look for his own shot. Um, so he had a very stark difference in play style with each team. So he's somewhere in the middle, but with the Clippers, he would normally be more passive. It's not a guarantee that he's going to be back with the Clippers. He is a free agent, so why did I disconnect from remote play? Come on. Oh, technical difficulties. One moment. Okay. And looks like I gotta restart OBS in order for that to in order for it to register. So 1 second. All streams recordings will be shut down. Are you sure you wish to exit? As long as it doesn't terminate the YouTube connection. Hey Chris, I'll get back to you in a second. Okay. How are we looking? Cool. All right. Back online. How many teams do I have left? I don't remember actually. I just did the Warriors today. We'll check out the changes I made in today's roster also once I'm done reviewing this. But yeah, so that's Marcus Morris. He's in between his New York and Clippers production. JaMychal Green and Pat Patterson are basically the stretch fours. Zubac, we improved his defense a little bit. Kevin Gailey's a better three-point shooter. Not that he's not gonna get any PT in this exercise beyond say garbage time. And just to touch on these guys, Pat Beverly went up. Don't remember exactly what I changed on him, just like collectively. I think his close shot actually is what took the biggest leap. Although you can see his mid-range shot is pretty heinous. Most of the Clippers are, aside from well, they have a couple mid-range scorers actually, I should say. Leonard, Morris, Lou Will, Paul George. Those are the main ones, but everybody else doesn't shoot the ball at all. Heading over to the Lakers. And we got LeBron as the best point guard in the game. It's going to be interesting to see how many assists he gets in this game, because I did a pretty big tendency overhaul with both these teams. Basically, we're creating more ball movement, and that's going to hopefully generate more three-point shots, more fouls, etc. And the way the 2K was set up before, like LeBron wasn't passing the ball. Rondo, although I should say before I jump into that, his scoring efficiency is probably going to be off the charts, and a lot of that is just like 2K's game. Like the defense is pretty subpar this year. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna do a 48-minute game. Um, Rajon Rondo had a pretty solid year. Hopefully, he'll be back with the Lakers. As I thought he was a really solid fit as basically LeBron's backup, but then LeBron would come in as the small forward for that team later on after he got like a little bit of rest. And I thought they played well together in spurts like that. Quinn Cook didn't really play much with the team this year. He's out of the rotation. Basically, Alex Caruso ended up taking most of his role as he's not really a playmaker, just a shooter. And the Lakers just preferred to have more defense-first players out there, as is Frank Vogel's a defense-first coach. So Caruso actually ends up being the highest-rated two-guard on the team, even though he's got a 50 close-range shot and a 50 mid-range shot, which just kind of speaks to like everything else that he does well on the court. He's very solid defensively, probably their best perimeter defender this year, especially since Avery Bradley didn't play in the bubble. Like Caruso was very invaluable in the playoff run. KCP is pretty solid as a starter. I'm like a little annoyed that he's only a 79 overall. I did everything I could to just get him to a flat 80, but the 2K formula for two guards isn't the greatest. So certainly I don't want KCP and Caruso. I don't want Caruso to have a higher rating than the starter. But here we are at the moment. We'll see if that changes at all in the future. Avery Bradley, as I mentioned, he didn't play in the bubble, and he was the starter before that, with KCP as the sixth man, and Caruso was basically a backup point guard. Well, backup point guard, backup two guard. Like, he was the backup point guard when Rondo was hurt. Like, that's actually one way that we could drop Caruso's rating is if you switch him back to point guard, he drops in rating. But I don't like having like 4 point guards on the roster. Like, you can get away with that if you have LeBron at small forward, but I do not want him at small forward as he starts at point guard. And Waiters, him and J.R. Smith had a free ride to the championship. Like, he's also out of the rotation and probably won't be back given the Lakers' quality depth. Danny Green was solid this year. Like, he wasn't great. He was just solid. His 3-point shooting slipped by a lot, but his defense was excellent, as per usual. And despite his miss at the end of Game 5, like, his defense was just important throughout the year, and I think it would be a mistake for Laker fans or any NBA fans in general to discount his contributions to the team. Tucker is a solid piece for the future. He'll play a lot more next year, probably. J.R. Smith was absolute trash with the Lakers this year. He did not shoot the three ball well at all. Like, he got minutes, but he didn't do anything with them. Like, his efficiency was garbage. He was 35 years old and, showed up, because they basically called him. He hadn't played basketball in the NBA in 2 years. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, spot minutes here and there. He didn't cost them the championship or anything. He didn't pull any boneheaded things like he did in Game 1 of the finals the last time they made it. Anthony Davis, uh, really could have made a case for like the co-finals MVP. Like he was definitely the best two-way player in the playoffs, I would say, not just on the Lakers, but the entire playoffs. And it'll be interesting to see how much his role shifts moving forward with the team because they realistically played like certain against certain teams. They played big, against like the Blazers and the Nuggets. They played a more conventional center like Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee, and Davis played the four. But against the small ball teams, he ended up playing the five. And we all know that the NBA is going more small ball. So we might see Davis as a five. Once he turns 30, he'll be a five full time. That's when Tim Duncan made the switch full time, which will be good, I guess, for Kyle Kuzma if he's still with the team, because he's a four, and they kind of have difficulty getting a lot of PT with Davis around. Dudley, he barely played this year, probably retiring, is my guess. And the centers for the team, Dwight Howard, like it's crazy that he was unsigned going into camp, and they gave him a non-guaranteed contract at the minimum for him to suit up with the team. And like, there's so many other teams he probably could have started for this year, and probably made like triple the money, but a lot of teams were short-sighted and thought he was done. In fairness, he was coming off an injury. He barely played last year, so definitely a make good contract. It remains to be seen whether or not he re-ups with the team, as he certainly earned a raise, but how much they should give him is up for debate, and a lot of it depends on what else they do with the roster. McGee was solid, but then didn't play in the last two rounds of the playoffs, as Dwight Howard kind of stole his role, and it'll be interesting to see if Howard comes back, whether or not that continues. But these guys are basically pretty similar overall. Like, they're both just dunkers, putback guys. And Markieff Morris, I actually have at center. Realistically, that's where he played in lineups with Davis. Like, you could count him as, you could put him at power forward. He rates higher at power forward. He's only a 76 as a center, because the formula sucks for all these positions. But what does he rate at power forward? Power forward, he's a 79, which is on par with Kuzma. Okay, so those are the two teams that are be facing off today. And just going really quickly around the horn, I updated the Warriors today. I also did ratings for the Blazers the other day. So those are two teams that are going to get some love. I haven't finished the tendencies or badges for those teams, but just their ratings are done, and I'll work on the rest of that in short order. Quick glance at the Warriors, and then at the Blazers. And the only NBA news for the day is the Pacers got their head coach. They signed Nate. I don't know how to say his name. Bjorkgren. I'll have to look that up. But he was the assistant coach with the Raptors the last couple of years. Basically, similar to how teams were picking up Popovich disciples over the last decade. Now we're starting to do that with Nick Nurse. So because Nick Nurse was so successful the last 2 years as a coach, it makes sense that his assistants would be widely coveted. So I didn't really, he only got signed today. I don't really know too much about him as a coach, so I just gave him the default C's for offense and defense until we figure out if he leans any particular way. And I gave him an A in potential because, you know, he's a nurse coach and it makes up for the fact that his ratings are low at the moment. But that's the big news for the day. The Pacers are not getting Mike D'Antoni, which makes it seem like he might join the Nets as an assistant. But anywho, let's hop into... Oh, and I guess the question was, how many teams have I finished? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I finished the ratings for 14 teams. I think there's one. I mentioned that I didn't do the badges or tendencies yet for these teams. One of the teams I've done, I also didn't do them either, but things are coming along. I banged out the consistency ratings for the entire league, and that's actually something that like slows down the process a little bit for like implementing the ratings across the board. So that's why I was able to do the ratings for like 4 teams in the past couple of days, just because I got something that normally slows things down. I knocked it out, and things will be coming along a lot faster now. All right, so this is the 2K roster. That is 2K's ratings. They have Zubac at a 78, Howard at a 78. They have KCP at a 75 and Danny Green at a 76. Yikes. And they got Pat Beverly at a 78, Marcus Morris at a 79. Basically everybody went slightly up except for LeBron. LeBron drops a point, but the point that he drops is deceptive because I switched his position. At small forward, I believe he rates a 99. It's either 99 or 98. But the difference is some of these players went up like 4 points as opposed to 1. Okay. That's the roster that you want to download. Real 2K rosters by Real 2K Insider, which you just search Real 2K and it'll pop up. Okay, looks good. I think all the settings are correct. I'm sure they are. Let me move my camera. Turned off commentary. We got a 3-pointer on the first play of the game. And then a foul on the other end. My eyes are bothering me. I'm sorry. Not a fan of the offensive rebounding in this game. Immediately you can see the ball movement improvements. Thank you. All right, Danny Green needs to get rid of the rock. All right, that's one of the issues with the ball movement, though, is you get a lot of lead passes like that the defenders aren't really preventing interior passes this year. So it just ends up being more layups at the rim than there should be. Okay, mid-range shot for Kawhi. I'll take it. Wow. That's a garbage offensive rebound, too. Okay, we got a 3 ball. Kawhi is attacking. Another 3 for Danny Green. One thing I changed was, or I noticed was the drive tendency for the Clipper Stars was way too low. Like Kawhi in general, he shifted his play the last couple of years. He's basically the point guard on the floor for the team. Since they don't run, they run Pat Beverly, who's not a conventional point guard, right? So you needed to adjust his tendencies to make him a little more ball dominant, and his tendencies had him more like along the lines of like a conventional scoring small forward, but he's much more of a playmaker now than he was previously. And here's, a dunk like that looks pretty, but I don't like how a lot of the fast breaks in 2K just end up being like uncontested dunks like that, where the defense isn't able to make any type of play on the ball. Yeah, when LeBron gets a full head of steam, there's not really any stopping him, and the defense doesn't rotate quickly enough in this game. It feels like if the defense stumbles even once, like that's it. Somebody on the court has a clear path to the rim. I'm surprised he didn't take that shot, but that's a good thing. That means his kick-out tendency kicked in. whatever play that was, I'm not a fan. Okay, another 3 for Danny Green. I know the person. I know the person that does the plays for this game. Um, all the plays that the teams have, they're all scouted. These are sets that the teams in real life actually run. The thing is that the game itself doesn't. The players on the court don't execute it properly. Like if Ivica Zubac is going to do a handoff, he's not going to put the ball on the floor, and man, Danny Green is getting some really good looks. And the AI, that's not really how they think about it, you know. There's no like dribble tendency or whatever to like say like this guy shouldn't put the ball on the floor at all. So they have the right plays, but like the AI itself is like losing it in translation, the effectiveness of them. Wow. Rebounding and fast breaks could probably be fixed by a slider set like the one from Shady Mike Gaming. Yeah, well that's the one thing I don't work on with the rosters is I don't do sliders, because once you're working on the sliders, then you're playing like game designer. And I'm not actually playing game designer here. I'm just looking at like stats and stuff to make the players play more true to themselves. You know, a lot of my work is all just data driven. I can't stand. This is something else that the gameplay needs to work on, and it's crazy that they've had like, it's 2K20. They've had 20 years to sort out these kind of issues. Wide open 3. Why is he taking steps forward? Like they need to put some kind of either a barrier or something to just like prevent shit like that from happening, you know. Even if he didn't like take the steps forward, there's a lot of like, I noticed with like the Bucks with like Brook Lopez, a lot of players, they catch it in the corner and just like their shooting animation brings them over the line. So it's like even when you have tendencies and stuff to create the correct result, like there's still instances where Danny Green is freaking killing right now. And I'm not too worried about the Clippers, as this isn't actually dissimilar from how the last time my last simulation started. A lot of it just has to do with the way the heat system also works in this game. Is right now the Lakers have a bunch of hot players. The Clippers have a bunch of cold players, and until they fix that, via like timeouts or whatever, or just hitting like a shot, the momentum is just going to get out of control. Which is actually not the worst thing in the world, right? Like we've seen the Clippers go cold and stuff in real life. This is a clinic right now, so. Okay. Let's see if the bench unit can bring the Clippers back in. Okay, LeBron in the post. Nice. That was another instance where the guy couldn't get behind the line in time. And it's like 2K needs to fix instances like that because it's one of the directives that they have that I know for a fact that they have is creating more threes in the game. And it's like even when you fix the gameplay, you still have the animations department and everything is like holding the gameplay back a little bit. So it's not a simple fit. It's not like one person needs to do a better job. It's multiple teams of people that work on the game. Need to come together. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the Lakers right now are getting all the easy baskets, right? $36-12. Jeez. Wow. Wow. Yeah, the Lakers are about to get a 40 piece in the first quarter. Okay, that's a good shot. That should get rid of the cold spell for George. Yeah, I feel like the subpar defense things snowball when you have a bunch of players get hot because then they're even harder for the inadequate defense to stop. The Lakers are doing great in transition. No complaints there. They are definitely a defense into offense team. Well, Clippers are getting looks. $45-15. I mean, we got to check the box, see what happened. LeBron was 8 for 9. I barely even noticed, but he did have 3 dunks. Only 2 assists, but again, he was looking for a shot, I guess. Danny Green was 3 for 4 on threes. Davis had 5 assists. Wow. And the Clippers struggled. Paul George, 1 for 7. He only hit that 3 at the end. Kawhi, 1 for 7. Jeez. Harold and Will, 1 for 4. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I guarantee you that did not happen in the first simulation that I did. 5 for 7 on threes for the Lakers is also pretty. Normally they don't take a lot of threes. It's all like a lot of paint domination. We see 8 free throws for the Lakers, none for the Clippers. So. And how many fast break points? Okay, so yeah, that's actually the key stat. Is the Lakers had 22 fast break points. So like every time they got a rebound, like they scored. Or any type of stop. Man. That's an abnormally high total. So a little bit of an aberration, I think. I don't think it's very often you'll see the computer score 22 fast break points in a quarter. Wow. We drawing fouls on jumpers. Wow. The fact that Kawhi Leonard's given a drop-in pass or a dump-down pass to JaMychal Green probably is an issue with the play that got called. Not a fan of that shot at all. That's not Shamet's game. And Caruso not behind. Like part of the problem is, let me replay real quick. Here's a big part of the coding problem. 2K. Okay, so this shot right here. How do I get? Okay, so this shot right here. That's not a mid-range shot, by 2K's thinking. This is a three-point shot. They're using the three-point rating and the three-point tendency for this shot. They count this area, like the line, like basically a foot in front of the line. They count that as the 3-point rating, because that's their way of saying, like, oh well, if he was stepping on the line, then it's still the same shot. It shouldn't be as like mid-range rating shot, right? Because it's still the same general area. You thought you were taking a 3. Imagine if somebody like had a 50 mid-range shot like Caruso and took like a 76 three and has a 76 3-point rating, right? But because you were stepping on the line or like your percentage dropped or whatever. So coding wise, this counts as a 3-pointer. And they need to abolish that. We need the game to be like, no, they are not behind the line, which means they are not taking the shot, because that's what goes on in real life, you know. Players don't settle for a 2-point shot just because they're open. You know, they keep moving until they are behind the 3-point line, and then they take the shot. Why is he... Oh, man, I'm sorry, guys. Landry Shamet did not do this beforehand. One would hope that he would take some threes, take a three at some point, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe this is a bad lineup. No, Kawhi's out there, right? It might be the playbook. You know, Landry Shamet, he thinks he's Paul George, basically. Because you can give a guy, you can give whatever tendencies you want, but for the most part, the game is running, you know, the sets for the team. You know, if you're running, and if all the sets for the team are like contingent on Paul George being the 2 guard, obviously when you have a player who's not remotely like Paul George, it's going to cause issues. Another uncontested break. Okay. Come on. They're getting good shots. I don't want this to be a blowout. Certainly not to the degree that it currently is. Like, and the Clippers have missed some open threes. Whereas the Lakers were, what, 5 for 7 in the first? Kawhi can't get a call either. Another uncontested dunk. What? Oh my god. This is a nightmare. Oh my god. Lou had a shot, but passed it up. Oh, that's shitty defense. We got 3 Clippers cold. Okay. He just needs to do that a couple more times down the court. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Don't call it a comeback. Offensive rebounds. I mean, to be fair, the center is not even in the picture for whatever reason. I felt like I knew Rondo was going to take that shot. In real life, I feel like that would have just been like a float pass to Howard. Like that was basically a Kobe assist. Since nobody was really near Howard, you kind of saw the writing on the wall. Like Rondo was going to miss, and Howard was going to get the putback. Okay. Clippers are starting to get some easy baskets now. Lakers are a little cold, relatively speaking. You know, they scored 45 right in the first quarter, and they only have 16 here. Sure. Part of the issue that the game has is like there's no world where Lou Williams is on LeBron, right? Like if Kawhi and Paul George are on the court, they should be switching that matchup. Okay. All right. Hey, Clippers are on a run. It's only a 30-point game. Good pass. And Danny Green looks lost under the rim, but he gets it to go. Okay, I dare say the Clippers are back to normal. The problem is they have a 30-point lead to overcome. And that's not going to happen while LeBron is shooting 80%. So I don't know what happened the first 20 minutes of the game, but yep. They're going to keep going to LeBron until he's not guarded by a 6'1" dude anymore. I don't understand why Lou Williams is like attacking the rim though like that. LeBron with another triple. Incredible that like the Clippers are like hot right now and they're still only shooting like 30% for the game. Get his barbecue chicken ass out the game, like. Okay. Little pick and roll action. Like, LeBron is so hot. Like, he's hot on defense also. So, Lou Williams, he's a little too old to get the separation. Needed to really, like, overcome this on either end. Yeah, look at how slow he is too. Jeez. You know, this is gonna be the watch how bad things are once a player gets caught on a screen. Not only he gets caught on a screen and then he gets caught by his own man, basically. There's a lot of that too, like. Is that a block or a pass? Holy shit. Lou Williams almost accidentally had a steal. Ugh. LeBron's going for 60 in this, like. Part of the problem there is like the game isn't smart enough to make the defensive switch. And the AI, it looks for size mismatches. Also, LeBron's isolation tendency. You know, the isolation versus poor defender. Like, Lou Williams is a poor defender. So, you've got a great isolation player against a bad defender. Like, you know, it is what it is. They're going to... He's going to attack that. You know, if LeBron got matched up with Lou Williams in real life, they would go to that, you know, 9 times out of 10. The issue here is that the game isn't making any type of adjustment. It's just rocking with it. So second quarter, the Clippers did better. You know, they weren't awful. It was competitive, 29-33. This quarter was a fucking dumpster fire, the first quarter, but this was acceptable, and this is more in line with like what the Lakers, what I've been getting out of the Lakers to begin with. Like, they only took 4 threes, and 4 threes versus 25 twos. Part of it again is LeBron had Lou Williams on, and they just went to that over and over and over. You know, I wouldn't be taking lots of jump shots either in that scenario, right? So, first half, that's the shot chart. Only 3 mid-range shots for the Lakers. For the Clippers, 6. Clippers had a lot of shots from 3 to 10 feet, it looks like. But they weren't terribly successful at them. And the Clippers have gotten a lot of open threes, but they just haven't dropped. 18 assists for the Lakers, only 11 for the Clippers. Box it up. LeBron's got 34 on 16 for 18 shooting. That's bad. So a lot of that is Lou Will. Maybe I should have kept next time in the future when I do this exercise. I'm going to keep track of points scored on Pat Beverly versus points scored on Lou Williams. For what it's worth, the last time I did the sim, LeBron had 19 assists. No joke. Like, this is just straight up, like, he's hot and attacking a bad defender. And for the Clippers, I mean, this is like Game 7 all over again. PG and Kawhi are just ice cold. Again, a lot of it is the Lakers. The Lakers got hot early, and the hot cold, the takeover meter or whatever, it just snowballs. Marcus Morris's shot chart is more in line with what he did with the Knicks, because typically with the Clippers he's just a 3-point shooter. All right. Hopefully we have a more competitive second half. Hopefully the Lakers just completely get shut down. Never mind. We're watching, it's LeBron's quest for 81 right now. All right, good. We need more bailout fouls. Wow. Oh. Hey, Paul George guards LeBron and he steps out of bounds, you know? Crazy what happens when you get a real defender on you. Okay, yeah, just walk to the rim. Sure. What the hell was that? Okay. Not a huge fan. At least, like, if you're going to take an awkward-ass layup like that, it should miss. Okay. That's KCP making that pass to Dwight Howard. That's kind of what I mean by like the interior passes are a joke this year. Literally anybody can make a pass into the paint. And like, so that we adjusted Marcus Morris's tendencies, right? Marcus Morris has a high 3-point tendency, etc. But the Clippers just have this play apparently where the power forward cuts to the rim. And if Marcus Morris keeps getting the ball uncontested at the rim, of course he's going to keep, taking that shot. I think all of Morris's points have been like the same, on basically the same play. Now Davis is in the middle of the takeover quarter. Davis checks out. Oh, never mind. He's in the corner. Okay. Okay, so Howard checked out. I wasn't paying attention to the subs. Hey. That was almost a mid-range shot for LeBron. But instead it's a turnover. I'll take that. Oh my god. That possession was 2K in a nutshell. But at least they stopped him 4 times. Don't call it a comeback. The Clippers are up to 38%. Problem is they just can't stop the Lakers. Clippers come within 36. At least Harrell's getting putbacks. We got a mid-range shot, a mid-range step back for LeBron. Clippers cut it to 32. It's a 28-point game. Good pass, good shot. 25. I just want them to get in, like, I don't want to go to garbage time in the fourth quarter. Another Marcus Morris shot at the rim off that same play. All right. $26-point game. Yep. So, Clippers won the third quarter. I hit a couple threes, but also 30 points in the paint. Like the Lakers didn't have the same defensive intensity that they did in the first half. And we see in the first half looking at the fast break points, like the 22 for the Lakers in the first quarter was ridiculous. They had 4 in the second quarter. And then 4 fast break points in the third quarter. Yeah, so I feel like all the fast break points in the first quarter kind of ruined the game, in the sense that, like, absolute aberration. I've never seen that happen before. It's definitely not a common occurrence. I think this kind of quarter was pretty common for both teams. Lakers missed 3 free throws to make it a little not as close as it could have been, I guess. But the Clippers won the third quarter without question. So it'll be interesting to see if they win the fourth quarter too. Oh no, Terrence Mann's in. This could be garbage time. All right, so LeBron's got 38, 5 and 7. 18 for 23. Danny Green's got 4 threes. Davis has 14 on 16 shots. 16 shots is kind of... I didn't think he was 7 of 16, but I guess he's... on the shots where he's been contested, he's missed them. Like, the 7 shots that he's made have been, like, gimmies for the most part. Yeah, Kawhi had a much better third quarter. Oh no. J.R. Smith and Jared Dudley are in. Looks like we're in garbage time. We'll see if the Clippers can cut it and bring the Lakers out of garbage time. The starters came back in with the Clips. Guess they're not throwing in the towel yet. Trying my best to stay awake. I woke up very early today, like 6 in the morning. Back down to a 30-point game. Again, the Lakers won the first quarter by 30. So they're even since then. I can't stand that play where Zubac puts the ball on the floor. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's not Jared Dudley he's leaving. That's Anthony Davis he's leaving. It's 2000. The year is 2020. You're in your 20th year of making this game. There's nobody even inside the fucking 3-point. This is fucking embarrassing. This is fucking embarrassing. Finally a double green for PG. Russo with a good finish. Yo, Beverly needs to fucking retire already. After that foul. Garbage time. Yeah. 3 more minutes. Can't stand the alley-oops in this game. Well, Jared Dudley can't hit that shot. He's not going to hit a single one. He probably won't be ever that open again in this game. Hey, Clippers are up to 44% shooting. If only they didn't shoot like 10% in the first quarter. It's a J.R. Smith shot. What the fuck was that? All right. %44 for the Clippers. Lakers basically dominated the game. 38 fast break points to 10. It's basically the story of the game. It sucks that like the breakout it like was such intense domination early on, like beyond the first quarter it was pretty even. Although the Lakers did win the fourth quarter too, but it was pretty much garbage time. LeBron didn't even play the fourth, I don't think. Finished with 38, 5 and 7. Davis 23, 13 and 7. Rondo 15, 3 and 10. So yeah, there was ball movement, all right. And for the Clippers, George ended up having an okay game. Started slow, but yeah, fourth quarter. You know, once you're down 30, then you could start playing well, right? Not a great game for Kawhi. Solid game for Harrell. Williams 13-3-3, but 6 of 15 and got annihilated defensively. Although Pat Beverly was a negative 32, so. Yeah. Only a solid. Kawhi kind of underwhelmed. 0 for 5 on threes. And LeBron obviously was unstoppable. 13 of 14 at the rim. He had the Williams on him for a good portion of the game. So yeah, that was game one, or I guess technically game two. This is the first game that I've shown, but this first game I wish I streamed that first game. The first game was one of the best games of 2K I've ever seen, and this was, you know, as with most blowouts, pretty forgettable. Hopefully, if I do this again, there won't be a first quarter like the last one. If I wasn't exhausted, I'd be running it back, I think, just to see if we got a different result. But because I am exhausted, I am gonna call it, and maybe I'll do one of these again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.